take care of. Well, tonight I'm going to talk about some breakthroughs because whenever people release weight, they will get to a place and they will find that it seems like the scales just don't move. And sometimes you'll notice that the inches are going, but the scales aren't going where they're at. And so I'm going to talk about the most common things that you can do to kind of, get the weight releasing again. Um, one of them, and if you're following the things that I recommend, you're already going fairly low carb. But look at if there are any hidden carbs or if you've slipped back and there's certain foods that you really like that you put back in that may be holding that weight on you. Um, very low carb diets have shown to reduce hunger and prompt the feeling of fullness more than any other kind of diet. And some people need to do a little bit of carb cycling where they do carbs maybe once a week and then come back off of them. But like I said, the research has found that the lower you get those carbs and the lower that you're comfortable in keeping them, the easier it is to reduce weight. And I'm going to tell you, your blood sugars will be better. Now, the second biggest thing in getting weight reduction occurring again is going to have to do with the frequency and the intensity of exercise. And, I like calling it movement, and that movement is medicine. There was one study found that 2,900 people found that every pound of weight that they lost, that they burned 6.8 fewer calories on average. So as you are releasing weight, your body tends to slow down the metabolic rate. So one of the things that's so important is movement. Now, a real easy one is lifting weights. Weights are very, very important. More important, interestingly enough, for women than men in losing weight. And it can be as little as having a 2 or 3 pound weight. You can go 5 or 10, but just having it where during the day you are repeatedly doing lifts, because muscle burns more calories than does fat. So you really want to be thinking about the things you can do. And there's easy things like you can sit in a chair and sit towards the front and work the triceps, moving yourself up and down. That's one that I like to do because I don't like this flabby stuff that we women tend to get here. And when you work those triceps, it's up for that. I've got a whole bunch of small weights, and when I'm going through my living room during the day, I'll pick them up and do some bends and all. So those are some things. Doing squats, you're actually using your body's own weight as you go up and down, and that is considered lifting weight. If you're not releasing all the weight that you want, then you want to start, for about a week, tracking everything that you're eating. I had a young man in my office today that the school has recommended that they do testing for learning disabilities. And I said, well, how's his diet? And his mother just kind of looked down. And this young man does not eat any vegetables. He doesn't even eat mashed potatoes. It's not a carb thing. He's just not eating. And, when I started going over what he's eating, well, yesterday he probably got 20 grams of protein all day long. And I told her, I said, and I told him about, if you don't take in the right fats, and interestingly enough, he's an athlete, which is, it's not good because you need those, as I told him, he needs the protein because his body will break down its own proteins, which is the heart. So I sent him out to start tracking what he is eating. And his problem is he just doesn't like a lot of foods. So if you're at a place that you're stuck, monitor it for about a week and be really honest with yourself. Anything you put in your mouth, even if it's just a bite, put it in there. And then take a look and, and see, are you, doing some little cheats, or have you added in some foods that might be holding that on? Don't skimp on protein, because again, protein boosts the metabolic rate more than either fat or carbs. So even when you're eating keto, you've got to be getting enough protein in so that the your body's metabolism will be burning. You want to get a really good burn. Um, Protein digestion boosts calorie by 20 to 30%. So again, and I'll say that if you have any kind of kidney problems, then you've got to watch the protein. But if you don't have the kidney problems, you really, and a lot of people, let's say, will talk about, I've got a gal that does coaching, and she coaches women to get 120 grams of protein a day. And she says when she gets women there, that the weight just falls off of them. Even with protein shakes, and I do 2 a day, that would be hard for me. Now, managing stress. When I was up in Virginia, I went out one day, and one of my coaching clients had seen that I was going out of town and had asked me where I was going, and I said we were going to be right outside Stuart, Virginia. He said, I'm going to be up there. So we met, and while we were there, he and his wife were showing me his numbers for his A1C. And then they were showing me, what his blood sugars had been. And he said, I can't quite understand. He says, because I've been eating really good, and he had listed what he'd eaten, but the day before his blood sugar had been up. And he said, what can it be? And I said, well, stress. And he is going through a very stressful situation now where he is selling a house. And so managing stress is so important. And where stress puts that weight on us is right around our midsection. It's from the cortisol. And so finding a way to manage that. Now, if you wear a Fitbit, and I've got mine right here that you can see, one of the cool little things that Fitbit has on it, the newer ones, is it's got a place where you can do a quick check-in, a quick scan. And when you hit that, it tells you to put your hand down on it and to just breathe and, relax for 2 minutes. And it's really interesting. It'll give you the results of that. And what I find is that when I do that, and I'm a meditator anyway in the mornings, but if I do that during the day, my heart rate always drops 4 to 8 points. I mean, it really kind of puts me in that zone. So that would be something to just, and think about that. Just 2 minutes can make a difference. Now, one of the things that is really recommended is intermittent fasting. And last week, I saw a doctor give a study that what they found was that they really didn't think that intermittent fasting really worked. However, and what they said was there were so many studies, but they didn't follow the people long enough. And after a year, that they didn't notice that much difference. But if nothing else, intermittent fasting is a great way when your body has kind of gotten stuck at a certain level to take more weight off. It also, and she did admit this, she said, well, if you're only eating so many hours a day, then you're probably not going to have as many snacks. It probably is better for glucose control. I mean, so honestly, she really still re-endorsed it. Avoiding alcohol. Alcohol can really sabotage weight loss. 1 alcoholic drink, 4 ounces of wine, or 1.5 ounces of hard liquor, or 12 ounces of beer has about 100 calories with no nutritional value. So, and alcohol tends to slow down your metabolism. So, if, alcohol can be problematic. Honestly, if you're going to drink alcohol, it's better to look at the alcohols that don't have any carbs in them. Beer is very high in carbs. Wine has carbs. I think there are, and I can't tell them to you right now, but there are certain alcohols that have 0 carbohydrates. So if having a drink of some sort is something that you really want to do, think about that. But if you cut that out, that's one of the things on Whole30 is the month that you're doing that is no alcohol. Now, eating more fiber is huge because it's really going to fill you up. It the soluble fiber dissolves into water, so you're going to be better hydrated, and it's going to improve the movement of things through your digestive tract. And it really can, it can lead to your taking in. They say that people that are eating high fiber diets tend to eat 130 fewer calories and absorb even less of those calories. So if you're at a plateau, then that's something I recommend. The three things that they recommend that if you're plateaued that you drink are water, coffee, or tea. And, because those are things, caffeine does tend to increase fat burning some. Green tea is even better than coffee. And they found that people that switch from coffee to drinking green tea will increase their weight loss substantially. And there's several studies on it. I can't give you the exact percentages, but this is something that I've been reading about for a number of years. And I've actually had several clients that switched from their coffee to the green tea. And green tea actually is very good if you're running high cortisol levels, of lowering that. Green tea can give you some pep, but it actually lowers stress. Where the kind of caffeine that's in coffee tends to increase cortisol excretion. So that's a little bit of an issue with it. You want to spread your protein intake throughout the day. So you want to have protein, and I've talked to you about this, starting out the morning with protein is really important. Protein metabolism, you want to consume, you don't want to consume more than 30 milligrams of protein at a time, because that's really all that your body can take in. Now, I know that there's certain bodybuilders and there's certain shakes out there that some of them say that they've got 40 grams of protein, but really and truly, a lot of that you're just going to urinate out. But if you were to have, if you did 3 meals that had 20 grams of protein, and, maybe you're doing that with fish or chicken or things like this, and then you add in a shake, then that can be really helpful. The other thing is how much sleep you're getting. Sleep is extremely important, and it is almost impossible to to release weight if you're not sleeping enough. And it's funny, with some of the digital scales that come and they record your weight. I've seen one of them that will ask you questions. Oh, your weight is up. What might that have been? It'll say, did you have indigestion last night? Did you get enough sleep? I mean, so sleep is really, really important. You want to be as active as possible. One study that compared lying down to people's metabolic rate on an average of 54% when they fidgeted while sitting, or a whopping 94% if they were fidgeting while standing. And I notice this a lot. Have you ever noticed little kids? Little kids, they just can't stand still, and they are just always moving, 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 moving. And I'm talking about regular kids. I'm not even talking about kids who have ADHD. But we teach people to sit very quietly, not to move. And in a way, when we do that, we're sort of setting them up. So I'm going to tell you, and that's one of the things you all know I went to a standing desk and I'm standing. And so when I'm doing my sessions and I'm doing coaching, I am always moving now. I'm moving, I'm raising my legs up, I'm moving around. And it's really interesting. I find that doing that, I sleep better at night, but I feel better. And I have really, my waist has slimmed down, and part of it that I think there's not been much change on the scales. I haven't done much different, but I really think it's because of the movement I have. Vegetables at every meal is really important. Most of the vegetables are low in calories, and I talked to you about it last week. We're in the time now where the fresh vegetables are coming in. So if you're not eating vegetables, each meal should have at least 2 servings of vegetables at it. It's great to do vegetables in the afternoon as a snack. So those are important. Now, I encourage you all to only get on a scale once a month. If you're really obsessed with a scale, maybe once a week. But it's really important that you not just look at the scale alone, because when you're stuck, it could be that you are gaining muscle, and muscle weighs heavier than fat. So notice how your clothes are fitting you. Are they, are they getting looser? Are people noticing you're losing weight? And when somebody says to you that you look like you've lost weight, the correct answer is thank you. I am releasing weight. Hadn't lost anything, but I'm releasing it. Your mental thing really counts, but don't just look at the numbers. The numbers are way more important with people that are below 50 than they are people that are over 50, because our bodies just change differently. So these are the things that are the most common for you, to look at if you've gotten to a place where you feel like you're plateauing. And if you feel like you're plateauing, it's also a great time to go back and do another 30 days of the Whole30. Just do a detox and go back to exactly what you did and notice, does the weight begin to move? And, then you might even look at some of the things you brought back in. Say you brought back in dairy, is that a problem for you? Say you brought back in wheat, is that a problem for you? Look at the things that you brought back in and think about, after that 30 days, if you got some results and the scales started moving, or you know that you were reducing weight, what it is you want to make a change with. So for people, and the big thing is just not to give up, and look at what your blood sugars and all are too. Don't be totally, that's the whole thing with the Whole30, is that they don't want you to just focus on the scales. I've worked with people that lost an enormous amount of weight in the month that they were doing that, and I've seen people that only lost 10 pounds, but people looked at them and thought they lost 20. And it was because the composition of the body changed when you gave it different things. So, any questions about ways to spark this up and get the weight moving?
I heard you say that coffee. What if you drink decaf coffee?
Well, all coffee has caffeine in it. Decaf coffee has less caffeine in it. It is still the kind of caffeine that tends to create higher levels of cortisol. That's not, for many people, that's not a problem. If you have blood sugar issues, what I would suggest you do, if you're having times that your blood sugars are up and the food you're taking in does not seem to account for that, then I would encourage you to take a week or 2 weeks. 2 weeks is really better. Get rid of the coffee, drink green tea without sugar, and see if you are still getting those spikes in your blood sugar.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? All righty. Netta, I got to get back up with you and get you scheduled, because we couldn't do it before I went out of town. So I'll be in touch with you. And I'm going to be looking at a Friday night that we can get together and do some playing with some movement things, and also share some new recipes and stuff in my kitchen. So okay, if you've got some times that are good, shoot them to me. And always feel free when we do this to invite some people who might have fun with it. They don't have to be on the call. Just bring them in and we'll have a good time.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
You were supposed to send me something after we had our little Zoom thing.
What was I supposed to send you? Can you refresh my memory?
Something you wanted me to start taking to reduce
Oh,
the,
okay. I will send it right now.
all right. Thank you. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.